What I feel was in perfect harmony with what I think, as I realized for once in my life, my heart and my mind were in sync. My whole body was happy, my thoughts and my organs threw a private party, and while we were in the moment out of nowhere, her father was knocking on the window. I rolled it down, he leaned in and told his daughter, "Let's go, kiddo." She got out the car scared, like she was in trouble for going out. So I got out and apologized to her dad, said sorry for staying late, it's my fault. After a firm handshake and all of the formalities were done, he started to be a little nicer, asking about the date and was it fun. But in all honesty, it was his next question that left me a little stunned. He wanted to know intimate details like what food we ordered in the restaurant. I thought this was our way of bonding and I was about to tell him everything he wants. Then I figured that would ruin the memories me and her shared, so I proceeded to tell him that I appreciate that he cared, but some things should just stay between the people who were there. Although I regret our first encounter being subpar, I kindly said goodnight and started walking back to my car. As I got out the driveway to the main street, my phone started ringing and it was her. I picked up, said hello. She said, "Hey, don't go." I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Come and park out back, I have something to tell you." So there I was, climbing up her window into the bedroom, and there she was, standing in her PJs looking like an exotic bloom. She said, "Stay with me, I don't want you to leave." And I laid on her bed, she laid on my chest and could feel me breathe. I told her about my life, and we were talking about something deep. When I finally looked down, see she's falling asleep. So I waited just a bit longer. Then I knocked on her forehead. No one answered, but I saw the door was unlocked. So I let myself into her mind, and I started roaming through her cranium. The first room I approached, there she was sitting by the mirror, brushing her hair and fixing her makeup. 3 different kinds of outfits were laid out on the bed, and one of them was the one that she wore when we met up. I then approached the part of the brain that held reality TV shows and junk food fantasies, totally unnecessary. Then I started watching our most recent conversations, from the one in the car to the one on our date. That's where she held her most recent memory. I then entered a room with a rock climbing wall with no end in sight. That was her ambition. I know because I remember her telling me no matter how much she has, she will never stop working, because our duties as humans isn't complete unless we eradicate starvation. As I moved past, I entered a room with bunk beds, with blankets and pillowcases made for kids. That's her aspiration. I then entered a room filled with paintings and poetry on the wall. That's where she hung her passion. Then I stumbled on her future goals in her closet filled with business attire. I know because she talked about being her own boss and not working for hire. Then I began going deeper. The light started dimming lower. I realized I was approaching the more sensitive areas of her brain. I then entered a room where all of her dead relatives were wearing all white, living a life that was joyous. That was her faith. In another room, I saw a little girl crying in a corner chained to a big rock. That's her childhood pain. I passed that and went into another room where the same girl is in a corner and a lion is coming towards her. That's where she held all her fears. I then stumbled into a room with a swimming pool attached to a fountain. That's where she stored all her tears. Then there was a door with a caution sign saying "Do not enter." That's where she held all her secrets. And for all the times she was lonely, I entered a room filled with crickets. I then entered another room with bookshelves filled with novels. That's where she stored all her wits. Before I knew it, I slipped and fell into a pit. When I got up, I was in the middle of a gravesite. That's where she buried all of her bad memory. And for all the junk men fed her in her past, I entered a room full of dairy. Then I took an elevator down her spine and took an exit at the core of her existence, only to find her heart in stitches. But she never gave up on love, she was very persistent. In that moment, I felt like Osmosis Jones, like my sole purpose in life was to heal her heart. I wanted to do everything I could to help her. I just didn't know where to start. As I was on my way out, I saw a boxing ring with the mat covered in blood for all the frustrations that she fought. And right then I wished I had gotten lost so I can forever stay in her thoughts. When I came to my senses, I looked down and saw she was still sleeping. It broke my heart to know that she was so broken, and in my mind I knew I had to do renovations. So I woke her and told her I'm not going anywhere, I'm here to stay. It won't be easy, but we'll get through it day by day. First I want to dig up all the bad memories that you buried and have a bonfire. I'll always be there to motivate when you need someone to lift you higher. You deserve someone who's honest, and I promise to always tell you the truth. I'll forever try until I replace that fountain of tears with a fountain of youth. I just want to make you happy. No more tears or regrets. I want to unchain you from your past and turn that scary lion into a pet. I want to stick my finger in your mouth and tickle your throat until you're throwing up your flaws. Make you think of all the nasty things you ever been called and spit it on the floor. I know a picture is worth 1,000 words, so what I'm saying might not mean nothing at all. And I could draw you a heart on the globe, but the canvas is simply too small. And then we laid there. No more words were necessary. It felt good to know all my burdens were no longer for just me to carry. Then I heard this noise. It had a repetitive pattern. I tried to ignore it because when she's by my side, nothing else mattered. But I knew the noise wasn't coming from outside her room because we made sure the door was locked. And when I finally woke up, I realized it was just noise from my alarm clock. I looked over to the other side of the bed just to find she no longer existed. But I'm confident I'll run into her someday because nothing can get in the way of what is destined. Oh, what a beautiful dream it was while it lasted. I guess I'll wait until I see her walking and immediately feel attracted. The end.